Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to City Series, Session 1. So, today's topic we're going to discuss is Civil Engineering Advanced Intersection Design. So, just to give you information about myself, I'm going to be your presenter for today. My name is Jacques Petersen. I'm an application engineer from Modena ASC, and I'm going to guide you through today's entire session. So, the quick overview of what we're going to discuss in this session is the following topics. So we're going to say site creation using InfraWorks capabilities. So I'm going to showcase for the guys that still don't or are still new to InfraWorks and show you how to actually create a site out of nothing. So it assists us as civil engineers for tendering processes so much easier. Then how to set up proper site coordination for InfraWorks, because as a civil engineer we all know we need to go specify a allo system or wherever you are in the world. So I'm going to show you how to place in that information correctly, as well as how to import this newly created site to Civil 3D to do some additional and more advanced intersection design capabilities and show you exactly what can be brought into Civil 3D, as well as georeferencing the map, display properties and tools. Now, there's a lot of engineers I've encountered that does not know even about the settings, so I like to showcase it a bit, as well as moving on right after the maps. We can go and say use Devotek IDAS corridor wizard functionalities and tools. So Devotek IDAS is an additional add-on into Civil 3D. You need to have its own license, but basically what it does, it's an automation software package that enhance your design capabilities. Where it would normally take about 2 days to do two-row design, it takes like 5 minutes, as well as how to use the Devotek IDAS intersection with your capabilities. So this is what I'm going to use to actually do this advanced row or the advanced intersection design, because it's very easy and makes my life so much easier and faster to do this intersection design. Then I'm going to use intersection design checks using vehicle tracking tools. For those who don't know, vehicle tracking is part of the ASC collection, and it will assist me to analyze my intersection design properly and to see if it will accommodate a certain type of traffic flow or whatever type of car or truck design you want to do, and to see if it's adequate or not. As well as there's some additional settings which we can go and explore, which is traffic simulation possibilities in InfraWorks. So what traffic simulation actually does in InfraWorks is you can simulate a real traffic study of an area and place in that information into InfraWorks, and it will show to you to analyze how big of an impact it has on your intersections and how long your standing time is, as well as indicating how better solutions you can use for different type of intersection designs. So we can move on to the next slide. So just before we start jumping into this intersection design more in depth, there's a nice little quote I like to showcase in regards to our city series. Habit is the intersection of knowledge, what to do, skill, how to do it, and desire, what to do. It's from my fellow friend Stephen Convey, and this has a very big impact in our lives as well as engineers. So without further ado, let's get this going. So if I jump into InfraWorks, first things first, I need to use the model builder functionality to actually create a site. So as soon as you open up the model builder functionality, you can actually go navigate anywhere in your model, where you can go and either zoom to the location, or you can actually simply type in the exact address or the road's name, whatever type of information you want. So if I do type in Rivonia, because I'm looking for our main offices as an example. So if I look for Rivonia, you can see it brings me directly to the Rivonia Road, and I can go and specify the aerial imagery to help me assist exactly where our offices are. So as you can see, it puts on the imagery, and I can use this as a tool to find exactly where our offices are. So there we go. That's our offices right there for those who do not know about it. If you want to actually generate a site, you simply select one of the icons on top to drag this option, and everywhere where this blue is crossed, you can resize it. That's going to be your model. Now, to save an actual model is very easy. You simply type in the name of this model, and I'm going to call this City Series, let's say, session 1, and then I can just simply say create a model, and it will save it. Now, just to save time, I did use a different type of model, just to office model, and open it up. So as you can see, if you open up your InfraWorks model for the first time, it brings in the buildings as well as the roads and the ground imagery. So you can navigate this information to where we're going to do. So I'm going to select this Vessel Road because I'm going to recreate them in Civil 3D and IDAS, as well as the 10th Avenue Road. And I'm going to do that intersection design in between those two. So as you can see, it brings in a lot of information. Now, the first thing I need to go set up before I send it to Civil 3D, if I go to my model properties, I need to go set up my coordination system. Now, I'm using the select the Earth Ball tool, and I go navigate to Republic of South Africa. Now, this part of Sandton is still falling under LO2029 WGS system, so I go select that option. I just make sure it's ticked to say use the entire model, and I can close this down and say you want to save the changes. I say yes, and now it's actually georeferenced. So if I go to the left bottom corner, you can see the coordinates is now accurate to that LO29 system. So the next step is I simply have to go to Civil 3D. So let's quickly jump to Civil 3D. As you can see, I can go and navigate and create a new project or a new drawing. In this case, I'm going to say new drawing, and I'm going to select Devotex General Template, which has a lot of our standards already inside. So I'm generating a new model. As you can see, it's a blank canvas. Now, if I want to import InfraWorks, I simply go to my Revit tab to InfraWorks and say open the model. As soon as I do that, I can say InfraWorks model and open it up. I can select the actual SQLite file, which is the InfraWorks file. It will pick up its existing allo system, so I can say set coordinate system by using InfraWorks 1 because we already did the setup. And you also have the option to go and redefine selection set. So if I do select this option, it gives you the capabilities of selecting certain elements you want to bring in to Civil 3D. So if I do select redefine selection, you can see you have the option to select the elements you don't want. Say for example, I don't want those two surfaces, and maybe I don't want to see the water areas, but the rest of the data it will bring in. So if I say OK, and all that's left to say is simply say open model. So I select open model. So as soon as I do that, you can see it brings in that surface as well as the center line of those roads. Just to show you, if I go to inner drawing settings, it's already picked up that LO29 system correctly. Normally this is what you do manually, and in transformations I don't need to do anything because the map is actually going to bring in the right location. So to show you that, if I go to the geolocations on the top ribbon and I go switch on my map hybrid, you can see it's not showing. It's because InfraWorks is the same problem as Civil 3D when importing its survey data. It brings it into the wrong coordinate system. So all we need to do is, as you can see, it's in the wrong coordinate. We just need to go and rotate this thing into the right third and fourth coordinate where we are in South Africa. So I simply go select everything and press enter and say rotate RO for rotate and say 0, 0 as my base point and rotate it with an angle of 180. And if I double click on my mouse wheel, you see it brings me exactly on the right position and the roads are corresponding exactly to the map. So if you want to capture the area, you can simply use the ribbon tab capture area and select the area you want to capture for the map. If I go switch off the main map, it disappears, but this segment is left behind. So this is very useful. So you can actually go and still edit this thing after you've created the map clip. You can go select the map clip itself, and you can change the style to a hybrid map area or map road, as well as redefine this map detail to verify it, and gives you more accurate detail of the map, as you can see. So this is a very nifty tool, and you can create it for different areas for your entire project. So what I want to do is I want to design yet again for a road for vessels. As you can see, it's just the center line alignment, as well as the 10th Avenue is the second road I want to design, and using Devotex IDAS Corridor Wizard. So to generate this wizard, there are some elements that needs to be required. For example, I need to at least have a road assembly. So just to save time, I've created our own assemblies I'm going to use. As you can see, it's actually just showcasing the road segment with the curbs and the cut and fill. Now, while we're still at it, I am going to do for the intersection design exactly the same thing. So I need to go and set up all of my assemblies. So as soon as I do that, I can go and add all the assemblies for the left intersection, the bow mouths itself, because it will ask me for both bow mouth to the left and bow mouth to the right. So I go select and place them in. And lastly, I do have a road intersection with no curve and daylight. I want to swap out of it later. So as you can see, I've got my assemblies, and now I can go and start creating these roads using Revit IDAS Corridor Wizard. So if I go to my IDAS tab, I go to Corridor Wizard on my main ribbon tab. It asks me to select the polylines, which is the alignment selected. So I select the alignments. So I'm going to select Vessel Road and 10th Avenue Road and press enter. Then if I go say next, it will have some default settings for name convention as well as the labels and sites and styles for this thing. I can also create sample line at intervals at 20, but I'm not going to do that for now, but you can do that. If I say next, I can go design it and raise above the profile, above the ground level, and it will create also the ETWs to the left and right. So there are some additional settings I can go set up as well as my lane width for my road. If I say next, I need to go specify my profile view styles. So in this exercise, I'm going to say road use single band set 1 full grid, and the band has to correspond exactly to that profile. So I'm going to say road single band set 1 meters, and simply say next. Then we've got some additional band settings we need to go set up. So I have to go say specify left for the ETW, right ETW, and this needs to be top of surface, let's say surface, and simply say next. In my corridor, I can actually automate the entire system to create the top of surfaces for both of these roads and specify a style. As well as the datum, I can go specify the datum surface as well as give it a style. As well as I can go and set up frequencies if you want to, but for now I can say next. I can design a super elevation while I'm at this, as well as design criteria and just specify the design criteria file I want to use. After that, I can say create corridors. And it's going to ask me to select the profile view point to insert these profile views. So as soon as I do that, you can see it brings in the profile views. And it actually generated the top of surface and the corridors by automatically. So it saves you a lot of time. But I do have a problem with these two profile views. They are overlapping. So I can just use Revit IDAS modify view function. And if I go select the profile views, I want to go and adjust. I'm going to select this one, and press enter. It gives me an option to align them, change the datum, the height, and the space. Now I want to change the space in this case vertically. And the location where it should start, I go select the position somewhere over here, and the spacing needs to be 500. So as you can see, it's spacing them out accordingly, and this is very nice. Now, if I want to design this intersection design for these two roads, the one thing I need to do is I need to go and see where these two surfaces are representative in the profiles. So how to do that? I can go to my IDAS ribbon tab where it says profiles. I can say add a surface, and let's start off with the Vessel Road's top surface, and I want to say okay. And if I go to the profile view for my 10th Avenue and specify the style, which is top of surface, and say okay, I'm just going to say yes again. It will actually showcase the proper elevation. So if I do switch on my line weight, you can see there's the representation of that road in this profile view. So you can do this for multiple views. Now this is for Vessel Road. So if I want to see the display of 10th Avenue top of surface, I can go back to the profiles again and specify this time 10th Avenue top. Select the profile view and press enter and say okay and yes, and Bob's your uncle. There you go. So as you can see, it does generate a profile view according to that settings in IDAS, but you can still use this profile creation and actually move the points or the PVIs by simply just using the grips. So as you can see, if I try moving this thing out, let's retry that again and select it somewhere over here. You see it updates the profile view, but the ETWs does not automatically update. That's why we've got an option to say rebuild corridor in IDAS. So if I do that, you see it updates the ETWs. Now it looks a bit funny. If I even say redraw or regenerate, it's because they didn't add a curve. So you still need to go and add curves. If I go select the profile view and go to the edit profile geometry tab, and I go say profile view free vertical curve PVI based, I select the actual PVI and specify the K value or the length or the pass through. And if I say rebuild, yet again, this entire system, you can see the ETWs are dynamic. So what else can you do? Well, I need to still tie into my existing road. So what I want to do is I can simply go add a PVI to this one and just tie into the actual crown of the road. So if I go to profile, let me zoom in closer, say profile, and let's say again edit profile geometry. So if I do say edit profile geometry, I can go select insert a PVI and snap to that exact point. Now if I want just to rebuild the ETWs, I can do so, and as you can see, if I say rebuild, it automatically updates the ETWs itself. So very easy, very unique, and saves you a lot of time. As well as the corridors, you find they don't always automatically update. So if I do show you right clicking, it says rebuild and rebuild automatic. Now in IDAS, there's a tool. If I go to the corridors, there's an auto rebuild. As soon as I do that, set automatically rebuild. Now all of them will always be set to rebuild automatically, because if you don't do this, the surfaces might jump and the intersections will be just a problem. So to generate the actual intersection, I can just first draw out the bow mouths. So as you can see, I'm gonna design these two, but maybe let's just switch off these two surfaces so everybody can see it clear. So just selecting them and change the style to no display. There we go. So the next step is I need to start doing the bow mouths itself for this entire intersection. So what I can do is I can use Revit IDAS Corridor Wizard to do this. It will enhance the intersection design. So if I go to my IDAS ribbon tab, you'll find there's something called bow mouths, which is an intersection design. It asks me to select the alignments, and I'm going to select these two alignments where I'm going to do the intersection, and I specify the bow mouth radius needs to be 10. As soon as I do that, it creates these polylines, and if I use the T intersection wizard, I can go and specify the intersection location, and it's going to ask me for the following settings. It picks up the corridor for vessel road, the center alignment, the vertical alignment, the ETWs. If you want to split the corridor where the intersection region, you can either space it on the left or the right. But I could have also specified the center one, but I'll swap it out later. Then for the secondary road, you see it highlights. I can go to specify the center alignment, the profile, the ETW code, and the road assembly on top of that intersection. Then I need to go specify the left bow mouth for this thing. So if I do go select the left bow mouth, I select this polyline. It's going to use the assembly bow mouth to the left, and the same for the bow mouth on the right. I go select, and the assembly is already set up. I want to raise existing polylines if you want to, and I can move on to the frequencies. As you can see, you can set up targets and frequencies if you want to change it for the bow mouth, as well as the style. So there are some additional style settings you can go set up for your profiles, as well as the bands. And if you want to create an intersection label, you're more than welcome to do that. If I say create an intersection, it's going to ask me to select the position to place those profiles for the intersection design. So I'm going to select some over here. And we'll give it a few seconds. There we go. And it generates those intersection bow mouths. Now, as you can see, it did create them. Now, the one thing I need to do is exactly for the other side. So, if I do want to use that functionality again, I can simply just go back to my intersection wizard there on top, select the indication point, and I can redo this entire process for just overviewing all of these settings. Now I don't want to split this time because it already is there. I just need to swap it out a bit later. So I can just confirm the following intersection, go select the left bow mouth. Now this is the left bow mouth, and this is the right bow mouth, as you can see. And if I say create intersection or say next, the rest I'm going to keep it as it is. So if you have faith, you can say create intersection. So I did say create intersection, and I select a new indication point for these profile views. So I select this location somewhere here. And as soon as I do that, you can see it actually created that intersection on the left hand side. So we do have a little of a problem. The intersection still needs to be cleaned up a little bit. So if I do go select for vessel roads corridor wizard, and if I go to the parameters tab, where it says road intersection on the left, I can swap this to road intersection with no curb and daylight. As soon as I say apply and OK, you see the daylight cut and fill and the curb has been removed. Now there's just one thing I need to do for the 10th Avenue's corridor. I just have to take out those intersection parts. So if I do go select this option, I want to take out these intersection parts because a curb in daylight does not have to be there. So as you can see, it did break up within smaller regions. Now to get rid of it, you simply just go select that part and just remove it. So I can say remove the region. The second part is to remove this region. And if I say apply and OK, and Bob's your uncle, ladies and gentlemen, that's how you do that advanced intersection design. Nice. So you can actually go and switch off some of the layers. So there is a no plot object layer for the final product, and then switch off the no display styles, and that's all that's left. If I go to the isometric view, you can actually go see exactly what we're looking at. So if I do this intersection design, you see it created beautifully in 3D. So it saves you so much time and a hassle just using Devitech IDAS in Civil 3D. As you can see, it generated very nicely. And if I go back to my top view, you can see even in the profile views, it brings it up. And it's so awesome, it actually ties in those two points on the ETWs. I didn't have to do this. You can still add curvature to make it more smooth if you want to. And just rebuild the corridors and it will look much better. And it's ready for plan production. So if I do go switch on the surfaces, let me just go select these two surfaces. Let's say Avenue top and Vessel Road top. Change the styles, go to edit, and let's change it to contours gray 0.05 just to see the contours. And as you can see, it actually creates that nice surface. So you can still do analysis on this surface. It's just a normal surface. I could also go create a combination surface if I want to create a final road design surface, and I can give it a style if I want to. Let's say contours gray 0.05, and there we go. And simply say OK. So what I want to do is I want to basically paste some of the surfaces. So if I go right click paste surface, and let's make a combination of Vessel Road and that one. Doesn't matter which one, in this case you paste in first because they're all very equal. So if I say OK, it adds a combo surface, so they're not individual parts. So if I do switch off these two, so let me just say Vessel Road top and 10th Avenue top and say edit, and let's place this thing to a no display. So all that is actually left is the combination surface for those two roads. So if I do go select it, you can see there are one part surface, and if I go to the object viewer, you can see they are forming one surface, which I can run analysis on top of it. I can do water drops and so on and so forth on this entire surface to see exactly where my problems are. So if I do go to properties, let's just switch off this style. So if I want to go to vehicle tracking, I need to go and first dictate exactly what vehicle analysis. So if I go to vehicle library, so in vehicle tracking, it has its own library. So there are some of our standards in Sunroll. So if I go to the South African one, you can display exactly what that car's attribute is in South African design vehicles, Sunroll standards. There's a passenger car, bus, single unit, SD, or a semi-trailer. You can also create your own families. You're not limited to it, but we actually do showcase how to do it in our training. So I need to say make default as my default car I'm going to use. And what I want to do is I need to start positioning in this car. So I'm going to simulate if the car is driving on my intersection. I need to go specify that final surface for the road. So it's actually on that level. I can say project plan onto the final surface as well if I want to do that. If I do say OK, I need to select the position where I want to place my car. So I'm going to place it somewhere over here. And let's say this somewhere over here. Let's go a bit further. Somewhere over here. And change the direction. Angle. Let me just switch off my snaps. So I'm trying to simulate. This is exactly the starting point of my car. And I want this thing to drive along alignment. So there's an option to say pick alignment in vehicle tracking. It follows that alignment path all the way up to this position. Now I want this car to start turning into the new lane, so I can say pick alignment, and there we go. It will follow that path. As soon as I can select the second option, and if I go right click and say enter, it stops the command. So it outlines the swap width of this entire car, the tracks and the body itself. So just to make it in life easier, let me just switch off this map. You can actually delete it, or if you want to be clever like me, you simply put it into a layer and just freeze the layer. So if I go to my layer properties, I go create a new layer system. So if I do say create a new layer, I'm going to call this ACAD, so start ACAD, there we go, dash map, and I freeze this layer, and let's just close this down. So if I do go select this map, and let's just change this layer properties to that current layer, ACAD map, and it shoots off. Okay, close, and there we go. Now we can see a bit clearly. So as you can see, it outlines the tire tracks as well as the body of the car. So if I do go and inspect and go back to vehicle tracking, you can animate this thing. So if I do run the animation, you can go and run this animation, and it goes a bit slow, so we can use the tools to speed it up. And this will dictate exactly how your car is driving in Civil 3D on the top of that surface, and how it will turn using this information. So it dictates exactly where the body and the tire tracks are going. So they're not crossing my intersection curbing. So if I want to, I can actually, let's say this intersection design is actually done for small car vehicles. But what happens if I've got a big truck and he tries to maneuver this entire system? So there are Gautrain buses on this thing. So I can use either as a bus, but let's make it a worst case scenario. Let's say a semi-trailer truck has got off from the highway and he wants to start driving onto that road in that intersection. So if I do say make this as default and okay, we do exactly the same thing. We need to specify its starting position. So if a truck did occur and drive on this road, I can go and let's say it starts somewhere close to this location. Let's rotate it somewhere over here. So I select the position and say proceed. And let's sketch out this thing's path. So if I do dictate, say, perpendicular and pick alignment, let's see if this will assist. And let's say the truck drives somewhere over here. Let's not, no, let's just switch off the perpendicular and somewhere over here. Let's say, okay. So now if this truck starts turning, you can see it's already crossing the wrong road. So if I do say pick alignment, because I will like this too, you can see that the truck is already intersecting the oncoming traffic, which is already a big no-no. So if I do select this option, let's place it somewhere over here. And let's continue somewhere over here. Enter, enter. So as you can see, it does intersect the oncoming traffic, but you can still change this thing's path if the truck has to go a little bit outside. As you can see, you can also run this entire animation for him. But you can also go and let's say proper animation and see how this truck is going. So if I go say play and let's speed this up a bit. So as you can see, the truck is driving, it's driving up to a certain point. And as it turns, you can see it crosses that oncoming traffic path, and that's a big problem. So how can I fix this? Well, you could actually go and change the swap width. If you do select the swap width, you see it has actually grips as well. So if the truck needs to go a little bit outside first, you can see as soon as I move it, everything updates. But if soon as I select it, you can see it goes over my curves, and that's a problem. So technically, a truck is not supposed to be driven on this urban development roads. It's not allowed. So if you do want to accommodate the trucks, you need to either change the bow mouth radiuses for this thing to accommodate this truck system. So this is a very nice tool to showcase if you've got problems inside of your intersection. If I do select the vehicle tracking, I want to see the profile details of this truck. You can simply go select that option. And if I place it in somewhere, it gives you the details and data of that truck. As well as if you want to go and see some additional graphs, if I go select the graph view, and say vehicle tracking path, it dictates that graph of that vehicle, indicating the steering angle and how much your steering angle and spline to spline angle is, and it'll give you this preferred graph. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen. And as you can see, you can go and inspect if it's up to our standards or not. You can also go and specify the template if you want to see how far this template and radius are. Either you can create a PDF, a DXF, or a block inside of your model. If I say next, it will create a block indicating for that semi-trailer truck. I can say next and say finished. So it will give you the information for that truck. So let me place it somewhere right next to my profile for that truck. So it gives you the angles and the minimum and maximum for which design speed and the minimum and maximum radius for the outer body and entire tracks for different types of angles. So something very important, if I want to see vehicle clearance in this thing, which I want to do in profile view, so vehicle clearance will tell you if your truck is bombing out at its main parts, especially where the body and the trailer are connected. So to do that, I need to go to my profile view to do that type of analysis. Now, there's only one big problem. As soon as I try doing it in the profile view, it will give you an error. So if I do select this profile view, it says you can't use for exaggeration less than 1. So all I need to do is I need to go change that setting in my profile view. So I go to profile view properties, and I go jump to my informations tab, and I go edit this current style. And then when it says for the actual graph, I can go change this to custom. So let's say custom, and I change that vehicle exaggeration to 1 because it needs to be exact. And say apply and OK and apply and OK. And if I jump back to that, you see the profile view has been exaggerated. Now, if I do go select this option, I can say yet again yes, and this time it will allow me to do so. So it does tell you he's going to use the default height, ground clearance set. It's basically all of the details inside of the family creation. So I'm going to say yes. And as you can see, it creates a similar swap width. As you can see, it dictates in profile how this truck will be driving. So I can also go and animate this thing. If I go back to animate and play this properly, and as you can see, let's just speed this up. This is how the truck will move in profile view. So you can actually see if the actual trailer might detach or not. So this is a nifty tool to see if the truck will bomb out in profile as well. So that's the biggest worries we always have with trucks. They always will detach, and then that's a big problem. So if I do say close, if I do want to inspect this a bit better instead of watching the video, you can simply go select the outline tool, this place outline, and select the swap width. You can do this for profile as well as in the alignment itself inside of plan view. If I go select the location, it puts a permanent truck template to indicate to you graphically to see if this thing actually is bombing out or not. So you can create multiple ones, and you can actually print these things out. And as you can see here, I can have a close inspection to see if this thing will bomb out or not. So it's very nice graphic way tools to display that functionality. But you can do more. You actually do have the option to actually go and see conflicts reports. So if you do want a conflict report of that actual criteria, you can say run it for this entire path. Yes, it's going to pick up the default settings again, and it will indicate to you where their problems are. So if I do got bombing out options, it will give you warnings, as well as if you've restricted some of your oversteering, it will give you that function. If I do go to design checks, it tells you exactly what has been done for those design checks. For the passenger car itself, it says that the severe steering, the path 2 and the path 3. Path 2 is for the plan view. So it says the steering angle is 95% prescribed for 73 from the start to the end. And if I go to the path 3, which is the profile, it has default values defined vehicle side, height, and ground clearance. So it will tell you exactly what errors you've got and how to assist with it. If I do go to isometric view, I can also watch this thing in 3D, which is very nice. So if I do go and specify animation, and I do have the option to go and play this entire sequence. And if I do specify a 3D view, you see the truck is actually being showcased in 3D. But you've got additional settings you can set up if you want to. Let's maybe play this thing a bit faster. You can see it showcased its actual truck in 3D very nicely. It's taking an outer route to accommodate intersection, and then it jumps into this road. Now, you're not limited to just 3D. You can actually take a snapshot, or you can even go and say by perspective view. So you can go set up this perspective view for yourself, and let's just specify. You can specify the values, the settings for those. And if I go play this thing out, let's just close this down. I can go and let's say play this video. So as you can see, this is from a perspective view, how this truck is driving onto these two roads, and that's very nice. Very nice. So you can also take a snapshot like a photo, and you can actually go and record this thing for your clients. So you can record a video as well very nicely for presentation purposes. So I'm going to just say close for now. So this is very nice. So if I do go specify top again, and let's just zoom into this location. So that's how you basically can design your intersections properly using vehicle tracking. But say for instance I'm interested in doing a traffic simulation for this entire area. So what you can do is you can jump back to InfraWorks. As you can see, if we're in InfraWorks, we can actually go and navigate to a location where you want to do this traffic study. So to do that actual traffic study is very simple. In InfraWorks, we simply need to go define first the area. So if I do go to my home ribbon tab to analyze transportation, there's an option where I can say traffic simulation. If I go select traffic simulation, it gives me the option to go and select the area. So if I go select this area where I want this traffic simulation to be, I go select this option. As soon as I do that, it's going to ask me there are planning roads inside. You want to convert them to component roads? Now, yes. Unfortunately, it has to work just on component roads, so it will convert it to component roads, which you can swap out anytime you want. So we'll just wait till it converts. And as soon as it converts that roads to component roads, it will generate that actual traffic study. So what we can do is we can go and specify what type of traffic simulation we want. Now default InfraWorks has a few of them. So if I go to this traffic study area, I have the option to simulate a short morning, a long morning, or for quick simulation. So these are presets that already been in InfraWorks. So if I just say run a simulation, it will prepare the simulation of that data. I'll still show you where to change these things a bit in a while to be more advanced. So if I do say running simulation, you have the animation player. So if I do just drop this and say play, if I zoom into the intersection, you see the cars are moving here. So it simulates the actual traffic coming into that intersection, and I can go and do design checks. So if I do want to see exactly what are we doing and how much of an impact this traffic simulation has on my intersections, there's under the analysis type, if I say result volumes per lane, you can see per lane it gives you that information, and you can specify the delay threshold. So it tells you the queue is 48 and the delay average in seconds. So you can go dictate and change these values as you require. So if your design standard has a certain delay threshold, you can go and specify them accordingly. So if I do go select this one, you can see the queue is 48 and 48 seconds. But this is just one traffic simulation. You can have multiple. So if I do want to go and replay them or create a new one, I can say this time a quick simulation and say run again. So this is a different type of simulation. So it's a quick one, so it's less amount of cars. So if I do run a simulation, it will give me a different value. So if I did specify the delay threshold to be less, it will show in bluish color instead of red. So if I do play it, you can see now this delay threshold is much different. So if I do go play this system, it tells you exactly for this entire simulation. And as you can see, it looks a bit better because there are areas that's less. So this is 15Q and 58 seconds, and where this one is over the Q limits. Because this is a very basic one, it says 10 demand in, 10 demand out. So you can still go and create a report for this quick simulation, or you can go back to the other one and create its report. It basically puts it out in the CSV file. You can play it again or delete it. So if you want to go into advanced topics, I can simply go and say traffic analyze panel by right clicking. If I say OK, it actually opens up this traffic analysis tool. It's still inside of InfraWorks, so don't worry about it. It's just advanced settings. So here you will basically detail your actual traffic simulation study. So you can actually go and create your own. So if you have actual data, you can actually go set it up for each intersection of that entire area if you want to. So you need to go specify the actual traffic study, which is the parameters, the controls. So you can specify what time of study is, the controls, if it's a robot or not, the demand, how much cars, as well as if I go to the actual demands, if I go to the demands, let's say demands division or the actual demands, it uses this matrix system. So if I do go select one, you can see this is where all of the cars coming from that exact location and where they are going. So you can actually go and put up this matrix or your actual traffic data study, how much cars are coming in and out on a certain location. And you can go change them as frequently as you want, as well as if you want certain controls for the intersections itself. In the intersection design, you can go specify the controls, how they look. So as you can see, it has arrows. For those who are moving or turning, you can go and specify that exact location and create them. You can even create a robot system. You can actually go and dictate if you've got an actual robot instead of a stop. As you can see here, you can go and change all of these settings, and there are so much control inside of this. You can also go specify the groups and the phasing. Phasing is used for robot simulation and also timing, as well as some plans and rules. If you want to do a loop systems, you can do that as well. You can also go and dictate if you have more than one specific lane. You can just give access to a certain lane if it should just be all directions, or if you want to go and define it but clear, you can dictate for that specific lane it's just a turning lane or it's just a straight lane or whatever type of setting you want, you can do that. So you've got full control and how to dictate your traffic simulation accordingly to your traffic study. So these are very nice tools to simulate, and you can use it over and even play it in this system. If you do say play, you can see the cars will start driving around and simulate exactly that scenario. So here you can have an inspection inside of this wizard as well to see if there are cars piling after a while. So then you can do proper intersection design and change them in InfraWorks, or you can actually go and export them to Civil 3D and bring them back into InfraWorks, and the list is endless. So it will actually add them to that simulation if you did create something proper, and then you can use them. But you're not limited to just one traffic simulation, ladies and gentlemen. You can actually go and add multiple to the same model. You first have to go and just select the new region where you want this traffic simulation. So you go back to traffic simulations. And if I go right click, you have the option to say create a new traffic simulation study. So if I do say new traffic study area, I go navigate to the other side or wherever you want this traffic simulation. So it picks up this area, but let's say I'm going to jump to the other side of Rivonia, and let's say I want to maybe do a traffic simulation somewhere over here. So I go select this option. Let's say we extend it from over here up to there. There we go. And I can say yes. So it's going to convert those planning roads to component roads. So as soon as I do that, it changes them accordingly. So it just converts those to component roads. There we go. And I can do the same traffic simulation for the same area if I want to. But you can see it picks up that secondary one. I can just do a quick run simulation. So as you can see, you can have multiple simulations on one model. You can have different types for the same area. So it gives you a lot of power of displaying which types you can actually have. So there is a lot of capabilities using InfraWorks. You could have also bring in your civil 3D models and do traffic simulations on them because they are actually finished final designs to accommodate. So you can do that as well. So if I do run this thing again, you can see it has the actual cars moving on the roads, and I can do my analysis per volume or per approach. You can see it gives you the same simulation. And if I do select the other one, it jumps back to that one, and I can review its actual simulations. So as you can see, you've got full control. So this is very nice and unique of InfraWorks, and it's very nice to use. And a bonus with these things are normally they cost cloud credits. Now, if you do update to 20.2 version, it's actually included, so it doesn't cost you cloud credits anymore, ladies and gentlemen. So, guys, are there any questions? So, if you guys still have got more questions, you're more than welcome to reach out to us with those questions. So, why I've still got your attention? So, regarding this COVID-19, we've got a new good news. Autodesk offers a free extended access to cloud collaboration products for BIM 360 Docs and Design. We at Modena also have our emergency strategic plan. So we've got assistance in setting up your company's project documents as a quick start. So we will assist you on this to get more information regarding these topics. You simply can reach out to us to either Katie McKnight, our engineering infrastructure director. She will assist on this matter, as well as for Salome Fourie, our civil and infrastructure account manager. So you can give these two ladies an email and we will assist you either with if you've got more inquiries as well as if you've got questions using the BIM 360 and COVID-19 free Autodesk BIM collaboration settings. So ladies and gentlemen, from my side, I want to thank you for your time and be safe out there and see you guys next time.